Hey guys, Jim here. Wanted to do a quick update video for you on my Medford Praetorian T. I actually did this already, but it was stuffed into one of my last rant video. So a lot of people may not have gotten a chance to see it if all they're interested in is hearing about this one particular knife. So I contacted Greg one day and said, hey man, I love my knife, it's fantastic, and I really do, it really is awesome. I said, but I'm having an issue with the blade hitting this standoff here. He said, now, is there anything that could be done about that? I said, I really hate to go dinging up a really nice blade here. He says, oh man, he goes, that's really crappy. He goes, let me take care of it, send it back to me immediately, let me get it taken care of, let me get something worked out for you. And what he ended up doing was creating these new titanium standoffs with a center channel running all the way around it. And not only does it look a little bit better than my original standoffs, and you can see those in a number of my videos that have this knife in there, but obviously with that center channel cut out, it gives plenty of extra room for the blade, no issues there whatsoever, because this is a big, tall ass blade, and what is really a fairly slim handle. So the way it folds up in there, you don't really have a hell of a lot of room. So he was able to accomplish that for me. And I like the look of the new standoffs. The new hardware looks great. He gave me the new titanium hardware upgrade with no charge, which I thought was pretty damn nice of him. And he also knows how crazy I am about my edges. So what he did is he actually rebladed the knife. What I'm not sure of is if it just has a new coating or if I got an entirely new blade, because this one is a lot darker. It's more of the traditional black oxide that you get from him. If you saw my knife before, it actually looked kind of like a charcoal gray. Now it's definitely much more of a true black. Now it's still got the same shadowing in there, so when you look at the knife at an angle, you see the Medford knife logo coming through from the handle into the blade. So none of that changed. But it certainly is a lot darker, and I'm having to break it in all over again. It got to the point before where I could just basically let gravity drop the knife closed. It would whip open super fast. So I'm still in the process of breaking it in again. Now, one of the things that people like to knock Greg for is that, he makes a combat knife. It's not really meant for us suburban commandos that, we're not out there plunging our knives into people's chests, or at least we try not to. Listen, I know you get a little bit cranky, a little bit bitchy standing in line behind somebody at the ATM. We've all been there, but the law generally frowns upon that shit. So for us normal everyday citizens, we're going to be cutting, paracord. We're going to be cutting plastic straps off of packaging. We're going to be cutting down cardboard, opening boxes, cutting paper, shit like that. Maybe a little bit of food prep here and there, whittling into some wood. There's not a hell of a lot that your normal, average, everyday Joe is going to be doing. But for the task that we have, we need a very fine edge. So for those that think that Greg cannot make a fine edge, just wanted to kind of give a little test here. So everybody can see that there's no problem whatsoever, but you do have to specify it because that is not his standard edge. You have to say, hey, Greg, I'm not a soldier. I'm not the kind of person that's out there using this as a sledgehammer. I really want it to be able to cut finer things. And he's happy to do that for you. And I have the same edge from here all the way around the nose. Very, very sharp. He does a nice mirror edge on there too. But it grabs nicely now, it slices nicely, no issues whatsoever. And even though everything's, nice and tight again like it was brand new, it's still really, really smooth. For a lot of people, this is going to be a knife that's way too big to carry. I mean, that thing is, and I have fairly large hands, this is a big-ass knife. So I'm not going to tell people that this is the kind of knife for everybody. But it certainly is going to be easier to carry because of its slimness. than the Praetorian T. And this is the T, so this is the titanium model, but in the slimness of the Praetorian A or G. Actually, my Praetorian T arrives tomorrow, the one I ordered back in March. And I'm really excited to get that because I really want the full thickness, the full, the full experience of that monster overbuilt tank, which is what I've been excited about ever since the day I ordered it. And I actually ordered it a week before they did the grand prize drawing for this one, so I didn't even know that I was going to be receiving this one. So I'm going to end up with 2 Medfords in my collection, and I don't think they're going to be the last. The one thing, and I've noticed this on any videos that I've had my Medford in, and I've watched other videos, he is a polarizing individual with a polarizing product. You're really going to love it or hate it, or you're going to love him or hate him. And I don't really think that there's a lot of middle ground there for a lot of people. Listen, I personally don't give a shit. I got a great knife. It's built to fantastic specifications, very tight tolerances. It does everything that I want it to do, and it does it very, very well. So I have no issues with the product. I have no issues with the dude either. Like I said before, he's done nothing but treat me with the utmost respect. And you got to realize, I've only purchased one product from him. One. And it doesn't even arrive till tomorrow. So it's not like I've spent $10,000 with the guy, so he's going to kiss my ass or anything. And I don't really see Greg as that kind of guy anyway, to be the kiss ass. But, he's always treated me with respect. We've had some really wonderful conversations. I've had a chance to kind of get to know him a little bit. We'll spend a little bit of time on the phone, or we'll text or something in the middle of the night. Well, middle of the night for me, still late evening for him. And he's just been nothing but nice. And I see a lot of guys running him through the ringer. And I got to be honest, I've had people that reacted to me the same way. I speak very straightforward. I'm very blunt sometimes. And I'm an East Coast person, so we tend to be rather direct and, not really beat around the bush. And I know I had some issues when I lived in the Midwest for a few years, where people in the Midwest, they don't really think like that. They don't really talk like that. You'll spend 10 minutes dancing around a subject and complimenting somebody before getting to whatever an issue may be. And I'm just not that kind of person. So people would often take my directness as me trying to be a dick or something. And that's really not how I am. The thing with Greg is, you're going to love him or hate him. And it doesn't really matter. Do you have to love the guy you're buying your knife from? Not necessarily. I think it's always a good thing to have a good relationship with the person that's making your knife, or the person that owns the company, or whatever else. I mean, I certainly have been vocal about that in the past, with one knife maker in particular, one knife dealer in particular as well. I just choose to spend my money with people that I like. Now, I'm not going to know everybody that I buy a knife from. That's just the way it is. If I decided tomorrow, let's see, I wanted to get a Tom Mayo. I don't know Tom. I don't know what kind of person he is. I've never interacted with him. But it doesn't prevent me from wanting one of his knives. Now, had he done something or said something that I found offensive, I would probably choose to spend my money elsewhere. So I totally get where people are coming from when they say, well, I heard Greg say this in a video, or I saw him reference this in a video, and I was really offended. I'll never buy his products. That's cool, man, and I applaud you for standing up for, for what you believe in. And like everybody else, you should speak with your wallet. But I think sometimes people take him a little bit too literally, a little bit too seriously. I don't know. I'm not standing up for the guy. He's a big boy. He can stand up for himself. But you just got to realize, when you're standing in front of a camera and you're going on for 10, 15, 20 minutes, sometimes you're going to say things that maybe in a different situation, if you were thinking things through a little bit more clearly, you probably wouldn't have worded it the way you did. So, I've certainly done the same thing. I mean, I work on live TV. That's one of the burdens of live TV is, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. If you're rattling on and going on and going on, I talk for 3 hours straight without a break, which means my mind is always running. I have 5 other things that I'm multitasking while I'm talking. And a lot of times, not want to say a lot of times, but there are times that things will come out that maybe you should have worded a little bit more delicately, or maybe you should have even gone there in the first place. Shit happens. That's the way it is. You know, and he's standing in front of a camera. He'll do videos for 8, 12, 15, 18 minutes. And at some point, he may slip and say something that somebody finds offensive. Dude, he's not a priest. He's not a babysitter. He's not in charge of watching your children. He's not out there trying to find the cure for cancer. And he's not asking you for charitable donations. So it doesn't really matter if you agree with the guy's philosophies or not. He's a knife maker. He makes weapons. Weapons made to kill people. Weapons made to destroy things, if you want to look at it that way. Is again, and I'm only saying it that way instead of calling it a tool, because he really does stress a lot that these are made for military personnel carrying out missions, yada, yada, yada. So that's the only reason I'm referencing it as a weapon over a tool. I consider a knife a tool that makes a hell of a good backup weapon. So don't put so much thought into stuff. Just enjoy your hobby for what you enjoy out of it. And if you don't enjoy watching Greg's videos, stop watching them. I watch the same guys bitch and complain and bitch and complain. Well, dude, if you hate him so much, why are you watching his videos over and over? I don't know. Maybe I just don't get that mentality. But, you know, like I said, I applaud people for speaking their minds always. If you don't like the dude, you don't like the dude. Don't buy his products. I don't really think it's going to affect him all that much. If you really look, and I mentioned this when I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about Greg's videos, if you look in the background, not really looking at what Greg is referencing, look in the background as he walks from one end of the shop to the other. First off, look at the shop. Look at the shop he just built. Knives paid for that. A shitload of knives paid for that. All the new machines, the water jet, the CNC, all these things that he's got in there, not cheap stuff. You know, it's not like going down to Home Depot and buying a bandsaw. And these are serious investments. He sold a lot of knives to get to that point. And if you look around in the background, you look at all the knives stacked up on various benches. And you look at the ones maybe next to Colin on his grinder. Just a stack of freaking blades. These guys are making a lot of fucking knives. That means they're selling a lot of freaking knives. So he must be doing something right. And one of the cool things that he discussed with me that I wasn't going to bring up, but I did notice that he did bring it up in a recent video, so it's out there in the public now. He's getting ready to come out with a Midtech line of knives. I mean, he's striving for under $400 for a knife that's built in the U.S., built on premises in one shop, in his shop. Not farming everything out, but he and his crew building a knife. And you'll still get a few options. I mean, it's not going to be a full custom. You're not going to get, you know, stuff like this. But to be able to get a hand-built mid-tech or whatever category he chooses to call it for under $400 in titanium, that's impressive. Yes, there are other people doing it, but we know they're farming a lot of that stuff out. I'm not going to start mentioning any brand names because I don't need any fanboys of a particular brand jumping down my ass about it. Or jumping up my ass. Depends on which way my ass is pointing, apparently. He's doing some really cool stuff. I'm happy with my knife. I know I'm going to be happy with my Praetorian T when it arrives tomorrow. I'm actually very, very anxious about it. But I'm not a brand loyalist by any means. If the quality went down on these next year, I wouldn't buy anymore. That's just the way it is. I'm going to buy quality, and I prefer, whenever possible, to buy from somebody that I like. And you know what? I like Greg. Yeah, he's a wise ass. I'm a wise ass. He's a little abrasive, especially in large doses. You know what? So am I sometimes. And I think it just takes somebody that's a little bit less sensitive that can kind of sit back and go, well, you know, he's just giving his opinion. He's not really trying to be a dick. To kind of understand where he's coming from. Now, if he looked at you and said, you, sir, you, Steve, you're a this and you're a that, I totally get that. I don't know. See, here I am, I'm rambling. I'm sure I'm going to piss somebody off. That's okay. I'm going to sleep just as well tonight as I did last night. No big deal. I do this for fun. This is a hobby. I'm not a professional. This is just what I do for fun. I like my knives. I like talking about my knives. I like sharing my experience with my knives in the industry, with makers, with dealers. And you could choose to agree or disagree. It doesn't really matter. Just as long as you're enjoying what you're doing. Period. I have a very full life. I got a family. I got 2 kids. One's only 10 months old. My hands are full. I got a full-time job. I do all these videos. I do a lot of photography. My life is pretty full. I could drop off one of my hobbies like making YouTube videos very easily and not feel a void in my life. But I make time to do this because I enjoy it. And I think this is a really wonderful community. So just sit back, relax, watch some videos, enjoy them for what they are. If you're going to buy the man's knives, buy the man's knives. If you're not going to buy the man's knives, then don't gripe and bellyache about it. It's the only way I can put it. He's treated me well. He didn't have to do all the things that he did for me on this knife. He could have just said, hey, dude, you got a really friggin' expensive knife for free because you won it in a Facebook contest from me. If you want me to do other shit, you got to pay for it. And no, he didn't. Now, obviously, the standoff issue, he would have, any good maker would have stood behind that. But as far as redoing the blade and sharpening it to my personal specifications, he could have just said, hey, I make my knives one way. Live with it. And he didn't. He was accommodating. He's been cool. His wife is an absolute angel. I love talking to Amy. She is probably the sweetest person in the world. And you know what? Maybe that's what tempers Greg. Maybe that's what holds Greg back a little bit, because Amy might be sitting there wagging her finger at him every now and then. Who knows? But I think it's a good balance. Anyway, I have rambled on long enough. 17 minutes. Holy crap. I can only imagine the comments that are going to come out of this. All right, guys. I'm out of here for now. I've got a lot more videos to get accomplished. And of course, tomorrow when my Praetorian tie arrives, I will update it and I will give you a side-by-side comparison with the Praetorian T. Give you an idea of what the real differences are. All right, guys. Have a great day.